You need to understand your position in this organization." Patricia Johnson didn't even look up when she said it. Her fingers were busy straightening papers on her desk, making sure every edge lined up perfect. We were sitting in conference room 2B at Precision Manufacturing Technologies, the one with the broken air conditioning and that persistent smell of burnt coffee that never quite went away. I'm Christopher Walsh, 51 years old, and I've been keeping this company's process control systems running for 24 years. That morning, I thought I was just going to another routine compensation review. Turns out, I was about to learn exactly what 24 years of loyalty was worth to them. Pat slid a paper across the table. Her watch caught the fluorescent light. Expensive, probably cost more than my monthly truck payment. "This outlines your updated compensation structure for the upcoming fiscal year," she said in that flat HR voice, they all perfect after years of delivering bad news. I looked down at the document. Senior Process Control Engineer, 24-year service record, merit increase 2.7%. Below that, in smaller print, like they hoped I wouldn't notice, compensation aligned with organizational equity standards. I'd seen that phrase before. It was corporate speak for "we've decided what you're worth, and arguing won't change our minds." 2.7%, I said quietly. "Correct." That falls within the standard range for senior technical staff. I leaned back in that uncomfortable chair. The Navy taught me patience, how to stay calm under pressure. 6 years working on submarine reactor control systems gave me that discipline. You know how it is when you've spent months underwater. You learn to think before you react, measure twice, and cut once. But this wasn't equipment failure or emergency troubleshooting. This was something different. Something that felt like getting sucker punched by someone you trusted. "What about Michelle?" Pat's pen stopped moving for just a second. Then she forced a smile that looked like it hurt. "I'm not sure what you're asking." Michelle Williams, the new Operations Excellence Director. She started 10 months ago. The smile got tighter. "I can't discuss another employee's compensation with you, Chris. You know that. She's making almost double my salary, isn't she?" Pat set her pen down carefully. Buying time. Michelle brings different qualifications to the organization. She has an MBA from a prestigious business school. She has strategic vision that aligns with executive objectives. I let those words hang there for a moment. Different qualifications. On submarines, qualifications meant you could operate reactor systems when lives depended on it. You either knew how to troubleshoot hydraulic systems under pressure, or you didn't. You could repair control equipment during emergencies, or you couldn't. There wasn't any MBA that taught you how to keep a factory running when critical systems started failing at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night. And I have 24 years of building every process control system this company runs, I said evenly. I've personally prevented at least 35 major production failures that could have shut us down for weeks. I've saved this company millions in avoided downtime and equipment replacement. But Michelle has an MBA, so that's worth twice as much. Different roles command different market rates, Pat said, her voice getting that careful HR neutrality. Leadership positions are benchmarked differently than technical positions. Here's the thing that really got me. I knew exactly what Michelle was making because I'd accidentally seen her offer letter 3 weeks earlier. $14,500 base salary. My paycheck showed $84,500, and that's a 72% difference. 72% more money for someone who couldn't tell a PLC from a PDF file. So technical expertise is worth less than half of what a business degree is worth. Even when that technical expertise is literally keeping the production lines operational. Chris, I understand you're frustrated. I'm not frustrated, I interrupted. I'm clarifying. Because it sounds like you're telling me that someone with zero understanding of our manufacturing systems, zero experience with our legacy equipment, and zero contribution to actually making anything is worth almost twice what I am. I just want to make sure I'm hearing that correctly. Pat folded her hands on the table. Professional, controlled, unmoved by logic or fairness. We benchmark compensation against external market data. Leadership roles command premium salaries. Credentials matter. Translation, know your place. I thought about my sons, Timothy and Patrick, both still in school. Timothy was a sophomore at Wisconsin State University, tuition $28,500 this year. Patrick was a high school senior planning for college applications, probably looking at similar costs. I thought about the child support payments to my ex-wife, Amanda, $1,900 every month like clockwork. I thought about the health insurance premiums that kept going up, the 401k that had taken a beating in the last market downturn, the fact that I was 51 years old and supposedly in my peak earning years. Funny thing is, I'd been updating my resume for 3 weeks, ever since I saw that offer letter. Not because I was planning to leave, but because seeing those numbers made me realize I needed to know what I was worth in the real world. The answer surprised me. 5 recruiters, 6 serious offers, all of them better than what I was getting here. Then I reached into my bag. Pat tensed slightly, probably thinking I was pulling out a legal document or a list of grievances. Instead, I took out a single piece of paper, folded once, and placed it on top of her compensation document. My resignation letter. Her eyes dropped to it. I watched the blood drain from her face as she read the first line. Effective immediately, I resigned from my position as Senior Process Control Engineer at Precision Manufacturing Technologies, Chris. She started, voice cracking. I sent a copy to your inbox at 9:04 a.m., I said calmly. You'll see it when you check your email, along with copies to my direct manager, the plant manager, and the VP of operations. She blinked at the signature, at the date, at words that couldn't be taken back or negotiated away. You don't need to make this decision right now. This is a significant step. Talk to your manager, sleep on it. We can revisit the numbers. I've been sleeping on it for 24 years, I said, standing up. This is me waking up. Pat opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. But you told me to understand my position in this organization, I said, picking up my bag. So I do. And my position is somewhere else. I left the resignation letter on the table and walked out. The click of the conference room door closing behind me was the most satisfying sound I'd heard in years. Let me back up and tell you how a quiet, underpaid process control engineer and one dismissive sentence in an HR meeting turned into the most expensive 38 minutes in precision manufacturing technology's history. My name is Christopher Walsh. I'm 51 years old, divorced father of 2 sons who are counting on me for their future. I don't have an MBA. I don't have an Ivy League degree. What I have is an engineering degree from a state university, 6 years in the Navy working on submarine reactor control systems, and 24 years of institutional knowledge about manufacturing automation so complex that it required constant attention just to keep it running. The Navy shaped how I approach everything. When you're responsible for keeping reactor systems operational on a nuclear submarine, you learn that people's safety depends on systems working exactly as designed. I remember this one time, we were 3 weeks into a deployment when our primary cooling system started throwing weird pressure readings. Nothing dramatic, just numbers that didn't quite add up. Most guys would have logged it and moved on. But in the Navy, you learn that small problems become big problems real fast when you're 400 feet underwater. Took me 12 hours to trace it down to a single sensor that was drifting out of calibration. 12 hours of checking every connection, every circuit, every line of code in the monitoring system. When I found it, the chief engineer just nodded and said, "Good catch, Walsh. That could have been bad." That's the thing about submarine duty. You don't get to blame someone else when power fails during operations. You don't get to make excuses when control systems break down in the middle of a mission. You fix it, document what went wrong, and make sure it doesn't happen again. That discipline served me well when I started at Precision Manufacturing Technologies in 2000, right after I finished my degree on the GI Bill. Back then, they were a mid-size manufacturing company trying to compete with automated facilities 10 times their size. Located right here in Milwaukee, they had this old-school Wisconsin work ethic, but were running on systems that belonged in a museum. On paper, they provided precision manufacturing for aerospace and defense contractors. In reality, they ran a collection of production systems held together with outdated programming, manual workarounds, and the desperate prayers of 2 exhausted technicians. The company had contracts with major aerospace firms, defense contractors, and automotive manufacturers. Their production lines made critical components for aircraft engines, missile guidance systems, and precision automotive parts. When those systems went down, real people lost their jobs. Contracts got canceled, delivery schedules collapsed. This wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. This was about keeping American manufacturing competitive. My interview was with Harold Gibson, the plant manager at the time who'd built his career on actual manufacturing work before getting promoted into management. He understood that automation wasn't just about installing software and hoping for the best. "Can you keep this equipment from falling apart?" he asked, gesturing at a printout of our production schedules that looked more like a disaster timeline than a manufacturing plan. "Depends," I said. "Can I actually fix things, or will I just be putting out fires? If you can justify the changes," he said, "you can make them." He hired me that afternoon. For the first month, I just observed. I sat in on equipment failure calls, read maintenance reports, traced control system logic, talked to the operators who'd been there long enough to know where all the problems were buried. The pattern was clear: reactive maintenance, no predictive monitoring, and documentation that was either missing or dangerously outdated. The second month, I started documenting failure patterns. Not theoretical problems, but real failures that had actually happened. Every time something broke, I wrote it down: what failed, why it failed, what the warning signs were, whether the repair actually fixed the root cause or just delayed the next breakdown. By the third month, I'd identified 22 critical vulnerabilities in our process control systems. I documented them, quantified the risk, estimated the cost to fix versus the cost of catastrophic failure. When I presented it to Harold, he asked the only question that mattered: how much to fix all of this? 16 months of dedicated work, I said, and the authority to shut down production when safety requires it. You have both, he said. I rebuilt the monitoring systems first because you can't prevent failures you can't see coming. Created dashboards that showed not just whether equipment was running, but how close it was to breakdown. Pressure patterns, temperature trends, vibration variations, all the early warning signs that let you schedule maintenance instead of just responding to disasters. Then I rebuilt the control logic properly. Real redundancy, automated safeguards, comprehensive error logging. By the end of year 1, we had actual visibility into our production systems. By year 2, I'd trained 4 junior technicians on proper troubleshooting procedures. By year 3, I was the person everyone called when things went sideways. Not because I was officially on call, but because I was the only one who'd seen these specific failure modes before. I became the institutional memory nobody wanted to admit they depended on. And for a while, that was fine. The company grew. We added more contracts, more complexity. Revenue increased from $85 million to $195 million over my tenure. The board was happy. Executives got their bonuses. I got a 3.1% raise and a coffee mug that said "Essential Employee." I didn't complain, not because I didn't care, but because I believed that eventually competence would be recognized. That good work would be rewarded. That loyalty would be returned. You know how it is. You keep your head down, do good work, and trust that the system will take care of you. That was my first mistake. The shift started 3 years ago when Precision Manufacturing decided it needed to modernize its operational excellence framework. That was the phrase used by the new CEO, Anthony Parker, former consulting executive brought in by the board to scale operational efficiency. Tony loved words like optimize and streamline and leverage synergies. He did not love words like equipment lifecycle or preventive maintenance or that's going to break if we don't address it properly. Within 6 months of Tony taking over, the company started hiring differently. Less emphasis on people who understood how things worked. More emphasis on people who could make things sound impressive in board meetings. We got managers with MBAs who'd never operated a CNC machine. We got directors who could talk about driving operational excellence, but couldn't explain what a PLC actually controlled. We got consultants billing $650 an hour to tell us we should implement lean manufacturing principles. And we got Michelle Williams, MBA from a top-tier business school, 8 years at a strategy consulting firm, 0 manufacturing background, her title, Operations Excellence Director, her job, align production initiatives with business objectives, and drive strategic optimization of legacy processes. Translation: make everything sound good in PowerPoint presentations while people like me did the actual work. I discovered the pay disparity by accident, and it hit me like a physical blow. I was looking for a technical manual Jennifer Davis had promised to upload when I clicked the wrong file. Michelle Williams' offer letter, base salary $145,000. Signing bonus, $30,000. Annual bonus target, 25%. Stock options, 12,000 shares. I stared at those numbers for a long time. Then I opened my most recent pay stub. Base salary, $84,500 rent. No signing bonus. Annual bonus target, 4% minus, which I'd received exactly twice in 24 years. Stock options, 2,500 shares from my original offer. Nothing since. 10 months at the company. 0 manufacturing knowledge, 0 systems saved from catastrophic failure, making 72% more than I was. The math was simple and it was devastating. That evening, I went home to my empty apartment and did something I hadn't done in 9 years. I updated my resume, really updated it. I documented every major system I'd built, every crisis I'd prevented, every innovation I'd implemented that saved the company money or reduced downtime. The list was longer than I expected. The hydraulic system redesign that prevented the catastrophic press failure in 2018. The control logic overhaul that stopped the contamination incident in 2020. The predictive maintenance program that reduced unplanned downtime by 74% while catching 89% more potential failures before they happened. I sent my resume to 5 recruiters I'd been ignoring for years. Within 48 hours, my phone was ringing. Within 2 weeks, I had 6 serious offers. Within 3 weeks, I'd accepted 1. Senior Manufacturing Systems Engineer at Advanced Precision Systems, $138,000 base salary, 20% bonus target, real stock options. All I needed was the right moment to leave precision manufacturing. Pat gave it to me. By 9:12 a.m., my security badge had been flagged for deactivation. By 9:18 a.m., my system access was being revoked across 28 production environments. By 9:23 a.m., I'd cleared my desk, boxed up my tools and that coffee mug that said essential employee, and walked past 7 colleagues who suddenly became very interested in their computer screens. By 9:31 a.m., the first critical alarm started screaming. Here's what most people don't understand about complex manufacturing automation. It's not like a car where you can pop the hood and see what's broken. It's more like a human nervous system, interconnected processes that depend on each other in ways that aren't always obvious. When something goes wrong, the symptoms can show up anywhere. And finding the root cause requires knowing how all the pieces fit together. I'd been that institutional memory for 24 years. Every weird programming choice, every undocumented modification, every workaround that had become critical infrastructure, it was all in my head, backed up by handwritten notes I kept in a locked drawer. The drawer they didn't know existed. By 9:38 a.m., every technician in the building was in emergency mode. The primary production control system was throwing cascading errors, not complete failure. That would have been obvious. Instead, it was degrading, slowly missing critical timing sequences while generating false error codes at an exponential rate. Nicholas Thompson, the junior technician I'd been mentoring, was on duty. Poor kid was 26 years old with 18 months of experience, suddenly responsible for systems he'd only seen from the outside. He checked the standard operating procedures I'd written 5 years ago, but the procedures covered normal failure modes. This wasn't normal. What was happening was a memory overflow in the sequence control processor, triggered by a specific combination of production load and environmental conditions. I'd seen it exactly once before, 15 months earlier during a particularly hot summer day when the cooling systems were struggling. I'd documented the solution in my personal notes along with the monitoring parameters needed to detect it early. The notes that were now sitting in the trunk of my truck, Nick escalated to Jennifer Davis, our senior production technician. Jennifer was smart, dedicated, with 9 years of experience, but she'd never seen this particular failure mode because I'd fixed it quietly the last time, added some monitoring to catch it early, and moved on to the next crisis. Jennifer did everything right. She opened diagnostic panels, examined error logs, looked for patterns. She could see the symptoms, cycle times increasing, quality parameters drifting, error rates climbing, but she couldn't see the cause. At 10:15 a.m., Michelle Williams walked into the production control room. In my mind, I could picture her perfectly pressed business attire, that slight smile that said she was about to solve everything with process optimization. "Why are the efficiency numbers red?" she asked. "We're investigating a control system issue," Jennifer replied, not looking up from her screens. "Investigating doesn't help our delivery schedules. Can't you just restart the line?" I can only imagine the look Jennifer gave her. In manufacturing, just restart is like a surgeon saying just cut it out without knowing what they're cutting. You can make things much worse very quickly. "We need to identify the root cause first," Jennifer said. "If we restart without understanding the problem, we could damage equipment or lose critical production data." "How long will that take?" "I don't know." "This isn't a standard failure mode." Michelle pulled out her phone. "I'm calling Tony." Anthony Parker arrived 12 minutes later. I knew him well enough to picture his reaction, the carefully controlled expression that meant he was calculating financial damage, the way he'd scan the room to identify who he could blame if this became a board-level problem. "Where's Chris?" he asked. The question I'd been waiting for. "He resigned this morning," Michelle said, "over a compensation dispute. I would have paid money to see Tony's face in that moment." "You let him walk today." "I didn't let him do anything. Michelle said defensively. He made an emotional decision. Tony left immediately. I know because at exactly 9:42 a.m. minus 38 minutes after I'd placed that resignation letter on Pat's desk, Anthony Parker was standing outside my apartment building, knocking on my door like someone whose entire world was falling apart. Which technically it was. Chris, he said, not bothering with pleasantries when I opened the door. We need you back immediately. I looked at him through the gap in my doorway. His normally perfect suit was wrinkled, tie loosened, hair disheveled. This was a man who prided himself on control, on having backup plans for backup plans. Seeing him rattled was almost worth 24 years of being undervalued. Almost. I don't work there anymore. I know, but our primary production lines are completely down. We have $450,000 worth of aerospace components that need to ship by Friday. Nobody can figure out why the system is failing. That sounds like your problem, not mine. His jaw clenched. Chris, please, just for today. We'll pay you consulting rate, whatever you want. I shook my head slowly. No, why not? Because 38 minutes ago, your company made it very clear what I'm worth to them. So now you get to learn what your production systems are worth without me. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. Tony knocked 6 more times, each series more desperate than the last. Then I heard his footsteps retreating down the hallway, probably back to his car, back to a crisis that was getting worse by the minute. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat down to fill out onboarding paperwork for Advanced Precision Systems. The outage lasted 92 hours. I didn't watch it happen in real time, but I heard about it later from Jennifer Davis, who was still willing to talk to me after everything settled. By 2 p.m., 3 major delivery schedules were at risk. By 4 p.m., Tony had called in Manufacturing Crisis Solutions, an emergency consulting firm that specialized in production recovery. The lead consultant spent 6 hours examining our systems and finally admitted what everyone already knew. Without the original systems engineer, this could take days or weeks to fully understand and stabilize. The consulting firm worked through the weekend. They brought in 12 specialists, set up a command center, and started systematically going through every piece of our automation infrastructure at $485 per hour per consultant. The bill was climbing toward $208,000 before they'd even identified the problem. The breakthrough came at 3:15 a.m. Sunday when Nick Thompson finally remembered something I'd mentioned casually 15 months earlier. There was an old technical document buried in our internal knowledge base, something I'd written after a similar incident years ago. Critical system dependencies and recovery procedures. It had everything. The memory overflow issue, the specific diagnostic queries, the exact sequence of steps needed to recover without triggering secondary failures. Nick followed my documentation step by step. It worked. Systems stabilized. Production resumed. The consultants packed up and sent a bill for $208,000. The crisis was over, but the damage was done. The aftermath unfolded over the next 6 months, and I watched it from the comfortable distance of my new job at Advanced Precision Systems. Within the first week, 3 major aerospace contracts worth a combined $4.2 million were terminated. The delivery failures had triggered penalty clauses that cost Precision Manufacturing another $1.8 million. Tony called an emergency board meeting. 4 executives were asked to pursue other opportunities. Michelle Williams was quietly reassigned to a strategic planning role with no operational authority. Pat Johnson was terminated for what they called organizational restructuring, though everyone knew it was because she'd managed to lose the most valuable employee in the company over a salary dispute. 3 weeks after the incident, I got a professional email from Tony, carefully worded. He offered $142,000 base salary, 18% annual bonus, title bump to Principal Process Control Engineer, direct reporting to him instead of through middle management. I know we failed you, the email said. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. I read it 3 times. Then I responded, I appreciate the offer, but I've already started at my new company. I'm happy here. I hope you can rebuild your engineering program successfully, because I was happy. Advanced Precision Systems was everything precision manufacturing wasn't. The CTO, Lisa Rodriguez, had spent 14 years doing actual engineering work before moving into leadership. She understood that manufacturing automation wasn't a business problem you could solve with strategy meetings and PowerPoint presentations. What's the worst crisis you ever responded to? She asked during my final interview. I told her about the hydraulic system failure we'd prevented in 2018, how I'd tracked a pressure anomaly through 4 different production lines and identified the root cause before it could trigger catastrophic equipment failure. She nodded slowly. If you join us, that kind of knowledge won't sit in someone's head or personal notes. It'll be documented, shared, and built into our processes. We've learned that talented people leave. When they do, we need to make sure the organization retains what they knew. Today, I'm Principal Manufacturing Systems Engineer at Advanced Precision Systems. I make a $151,000 base salary. My bonus last year was $28,500. When we go public next year, my stock options will set me up for a very comfortable retirement. But more than the money, I have something precision manufacturing never gave me: respect. When I say something's going to fail, people listen. When I document a procedure, it becomes required reading. When I suggest we need to slow down and do something right, nobody tells me to understand my position. Because my position is exactly where expertise should be. And when your sons call to say they're proud of how you handled everything, when you can sleep at night knowing you stood up for yourself, that's worth more than any consulting fee. The CEO knocking on your door 38 minutes later wasn't victory. It was just confirmation that you were right all along. Your expertise doesn't become more valuable the moment you walk away. It was always that valuable, and the right people knew it. The difference is that some organizations need to lose what they can't afford to lose before they learn to value what they should have treasured. Your expertise doesn't become more valuable the moment you walk away. It was always that valuable, and the right people knew it. The difference is that some organizations need to lose what they can't afford to lose before they learn to value what they should have treasured. Sometimes it's not about revenge at all. It's about respect. And when your sons call to say they're proud of how you handled everything, when you can sleep at night knowing you stood up for yourself, that's worth more than any consulting fee or executive apology knocking at your door 38 minutes too late.